welcome to episode 4 of the Fusedlogic podcast. Today, wow, man, we are going to kick into the NFL, the CFL on the show, on the big show, the Fusedlogic podcast. We got Garrick Jones, retired former NFL and CFL star, offensive tackle, known as the Boss Man 73, played for the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, and also not to forget our Canadian fans. He's also a former Edmonton Eskimo. He played for the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jones.
Hey, thank you, guys. It's good to be here, man.
So you are living now currently down in the Houston, Texas area generally, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back in good old Houston. Just loving every minute of it, man. It's a lot of opportunity out here, and I'm just made my way back to finish what I started.
Well, you know what? I can't wait to get into a whole host of things, talking about not only your pro career, but also, a career as a football player, trying to make it in the game, and then actually get signed by an NFL team. I'd like to talk about that. I want to talk about the challenges that you had while you were struggling player trying to get noticed, and then actually the struggles you had while you were playing in both the NFL and the CFL. Let's give. Let me set the table here for you, Garrick, and talk about, back in 2002, you signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's tell the audience, first of all, how did you get noticed by an NFL team? And, you were undrafted. How did you get their attention and then, get them to come out and see what you got for skills?
It's kind of funny you asked that. In order for them to give me an opportunity, I had to pretty much create one, so to speak. I went to Arkansas State University in Arkansas, which is considered the other Arkansas outside of the Razorbacks and the U of A. I actually left school after my junior year. I had a ton of things going on at home, a ton of things going on at the school, regarding the football program and the coaches at that time. With my major that I was my emphasis as far as for studies. It became that I was an athlete student instead of a student athlete, so to speak. So we had a lot of discrepancies, nonetheless. But it got to a point, man, where I ended up leaving after my junior year just because of everything that was going on. So I was out of ball. I didn't have a senior season, but I had the opportunity to play against guys that got drafted, and I held my own against those guys. So I was on radars of scouts and teams during my career, at Arkansas State University. But basically, it got to a point to where the situations at home, they got a lot better. So I decided to, figure out the next move for myself because I wasn't happy because I knew I still wanted to play ball, and I still knew that, I had what it had taken or what it took at the time to get to the next level. So I just had a mindset that, I was going to be a pest. I was going to be just in the face of the scouts anytime that I could, whether it be packing up my car and driving across country, just to show these scouts that I was there and I was a professional without being paid to be professional at that time. And I just had to learn how to market and promote myself. So everywhere the scouts were showing up to work out guys that they were looking at for the draft, I was popping up. I had tapes, I had my cleats in hand, and I looked the part. I had to really transform my body. I had to transform my mind at the same time. So I had a commitment to make it, so I had to prove to them that I was worthy of it. So eventually traveling across country and getting with the right people, which was my agent at the time, Jeff Courtney and John Murphy, who was a GM up there with Saskatchewan right now, with Chris Jones and those guys. They were the ones that helped. They helped me along the way. And I did my part as far as the physical aspects of it. But by the time I got down to the Senior Bowl, where they were working a lot of guys out and getting ready for the draft, I had made a lot of noise, just traveling cross country, just showing people what I could do. And Jacksonville was there, and a lot of other scouts that told me no. They were there, and it got to a point to where they just said, "Look, we're going to work you out," and they worked me out, and I showed up and I did what I needed to do. So um, Jacksonville said, "Hey, man, by the time you get to your pro day, if you show up and you do what you need to do, we're going to give you an opportunity." And it turned out that that's what the situation was. I mean, it was a long shot to be drafted, but I almost got drafted without a senior season. But I ended up going high priority free agent to those guys, and they basically gave me a tryout. Gave me a tryout for their organization, and that's what it was. I went for a 3-day tryout, and they ended up giving me a contract after that.
Man,
So, that's how it started.
Garrick, that is such an awesome story. What I love about that story is the fact that you turned yourself and your career into a marketing project. You just grinded it out. You persevered. You never said die. And you went out and you did what you had to do. And so many people just give up at that moment. So many people just go, I guess I'm not going to, I guess I'm not cut out to be a player. They might have had the skills and just gave up when they were right on the edge of maybe getting the attention of the right people like you did. So congratulations on that. What a great life story. And so often people in life, I don't think really grind it out as hard as they could. And, I mean, I'll tell you what, I never got to play football as an organized sport. When I did tell my parents, I said, "Hey, I want to go and try out for the team." And my dad was for it, but my mom, bless her heart, she said, "No, it's too tough. It's too rough. You're going to get hurt.
Exactly.
You can't go out and play." And I said, "Well, okay, then I'm going to go play hockey." And, you can't stop me from that. I'm a Canadian boy. I'm going to play hockey for sure. And, I mean, listen, arguably hockey has its own bumps and grinds, not the same as football, but it's still a pretty tough sport. And so I loved hearing that story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so, you went on to play with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons, and, you had quite a round in the NFL. When we talk about you becoming finally a pro player, at that moment when you found out that they were going to sign you, what was going through your mind at that moment when you're actually like reading the NFL contract, you're going through it with your agent, you're looking over it, and I mean, you get told that moment, who told you that they were going to sign you? Was it your agent or was it somebody from the team?
Well, it was my agent. They did a lot of the legwork as far as, paperwork and discussions, behind the scenes. And I was a part of a lot of those discussions. But they pretty much informed me, like, "Listen, hey, this team here, they like you. They want to sign you," and those types of things. So even though I had went to Jacksonville, you know, I had the opportunity to be involved with the politics of the sports. And I learned a valuable lesson. Even though you put the work in, you may get released. I mean, I was released from Jacksonville midway through training camp because of numbers. Them bringing in other guys with more experience and so on and so forth. So
Right.
once they released me, I ended up going up to Winnipeg. And that's where the aspect of me playing ball, and that was really my first professional ball club, was in Manitoba with the Bombers. Um, so I came there and I played, and all of the scouts that told me no here in the States, they were there watching other guys, and they quickly figured out that I was the guy that, was being a pest, and just letting them know, "Listen, I'm going to be a professional athlete." And once I got a chance to go up there, I played like 9 or 10 games, and I played well enough to get the attention of all these guys. And once I was done there for the season, I came back home, and then I was being flown, to various teams. I think I went to like 13 or 14 teams in a row. So it was a journey like that. But when you actually get that contract in front of you, and it's no longer you and everybody else that's on your team, or people that that are supporting you, it's basically you and that general manager for that ball club, and you're sitting there and you're looking at the contract. And the crazy thing about it is the contracts are a mile long, but you only have so so much time before you're needing to get to practice. So you can't take too long with it. But my agent informed me, man, and he said, hey, everything's good. We went through everything. You can go ahead and look it over. And I mean, I just was, it was a very emotional point for me because I knew that all the hard work had just begun. You know, it was time to really go to work now. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people say you made it, but no, it was truly the work was just beginning for me, and I knew it. But I knew that I had an opportunity.
You know, you created that opportunity out of nothing in terms of, you know, just getting out there and driving it and not being top of mind, playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. What a great opportunity that was. You know, even though I'm not a big Blue Bombers fan, of course I'm an Eskimos fan. You know, you mentioned the unfortunate, you know, team to our east, the Rough Riders and those guys, and you know there's a big rivalry there because you've played in it. So, but you know,
exactly.
I want to drill down now, and thank you for sharing that. So let's drill down into the kind of challenges now as a pro player that you overcame. So now, the real work begins. You're a pro. You've got to keep your job. You know, you've got physical requirements, obviously, as a pro athlete, but you've also got that responsibility of being a leader off the field. Tell me about some of the struggles and challenges related to being a pro athlete that maybe most people who aren't a pro athlete don't recognize. And how did you just tell me one example, one challenge that you maybe didn't expect but came up.
Oh, man, so many of them. I would say the biggest challenge for myself was learning how to navigate a family and starting a family, while being employed as a professional athlete. The demands that both of them have on you, the stress levels. I mean, it's the thing about professional sports is it's a high stress level job each and every day. Somebody's coming to replace you each and every day, so there's really no job security. So with that in mind, the demands that are placed upon athletes is very high because we are the show. You know, it's all about entertaining the fans and at the same time being there for the community and at the same time even more so being there for your family. And that was a big thing for me. That was a very hard situation for myself because I had to learn how to navigate, you know, through all those instances, and those are things that you don't have a manual on a lot of times. And just learning the business of being a professional athlete is hard enough as is, but you know, you have another life that you have to go to, and you have to not bring that home with you.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard deal, especially for someone who's 21, 22, and 23 and hadn't really lived life yet. So when you're in that position, and just it's a constant evolution, man. That was probably one of the hardest things for myself to learn and go through, but it made me who I am today.
So going through that struggle of managing a pro career and also keeping basically a work-life balance. And I know that many people listening to the show right now, regardless of what kind of business they're in, what kind of job they have and role, right? Everybody's trying to balance that work life, right?
Exactly.
So what is a single tip that maybe you could provide listeners and young players who are at the beginning of their career when it comes to managing work-life balance and the pressures of being a pro athlete? What are a couple of things that you pick up on that you could share?
I would say number one, man, just being spiritually grounded, being able to have outlets, and being able to share, you know, your experiences with people who've been there and done that. You have to have a support system in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And that's whether you're playing professional sports or you're in business or you're working for someone else for the rest of your life. You have to have people or things that you can go to that kind of gets you back, you know, centered and in balance. You know, because ultimately, if you are not in a good position, you can't make everything else go, you know. So that probably would be one of the things that I would say. Just being balanced and just having an outlet and having a support system, man. That's going to be your biggest thing, because everything else will come, and you'll learn how to deal with everything. But just keeping yourself together, because you have to be your biggest advocate.
Do you want to give a quick shout out to maybe a mentor or somebody that you relied on during those sort of tough times, whether it's family related or it's pro career related? Is there somebody you'd like to give a shout out to and just say, you really appreciated them being a mentor, or being maybe just somebody who listened?
Oh man, it's so many people. There's so many people that I ran across that were teammates that were going through the same things. Oh man, just people from my past, my old coaches. Even the children, the youth athletes that I used to work with. Those guys, they kept me centered and kept me grounded, because they were so fresh and had new ideas and those types of things. And like I say, I just tried to find. It wasn't just one person. My mom was there. She would always be there to talk, and that's a blessing in itself. And just family and friends. But I think for myself, collectively, the people that I came into contact with, I found a way to identify with them in their struggles and kind of apply what they were going through toward my situation.
So you were also maybe a mentor to others, not only in the programs with children, but also maybe just a real solid friend to your teammates and folks around you. So that's a really obviously a wonderful thing about you and your character. Let's talk a little bit about now the pro career is over. You've retired and you're not playing ball anymore at this point. You've moved on, and let's talk a little bit before we, there's two other areas I want to talk to you before we wrap up. And one is, I'd like to know, and our listeners would like to know, what's your life mission? What are you now looking to achieve at this point in your life?
Well, for me, I would say my life's mission, is to make sure that I leave my family's situation better when I'm gone than when I first got here. Because I'm a firm believer in making sure that the next generation has it better than I had it when I came in. And I think for myself, just educating and being educated in things that will help the next generation and my legacy. Making sure that they're going to be okay and they can spread the knowledge that I teach them, or the things that I give to them. They can spread the knowledge and it can go viral in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I'm a firm believer in that, man, that if I'm able to take care of my family from the grave, I've done something. And from my background, it's always been, when somebody passes away, they leave bills instead of wheels, and that's not what I want for my legacy, so that's what I say. That's my situation.
I think that's terrific. I think a lot of people listening can really, relate to obviously wanting to support their families going forward, their children if they have them, or their grandparents and parents and brothers and sisters if they have them. And I think that's just a really honorable thing, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. Let's talk about, though, how now you are impacting many other lives. When you started you're a co-founder of the States Development Football League, or as you say, the SDFL. And so if more people want to find out about the SDFL, just as a quick hit, first of all, make sure you tell them where to go in terms of the website address. But, what is it about the States Development Football League that sets it aside from other football leagues that exist out there?
Well, with the States Developmental Football League, what we do is we teach from testimony. I'm always saying, if I've never been there before, I couldn't possibly tell you how to get there. And I'm a very firm believer in that. Now, that doesn't, say that anybody that hadn't been there, they can't help you get there. But I think there's a sense of a little more validity to the situation when I can actually show you from my mistakes and show you from my triumph how you can take your game to the next level and possibly make it to the NFL or the CFL. And in that regard, and that's basically what the SDFL is about. It's about business, teaching these athletes and the staff and everybody that's associated with us about the business of professional sports and how it is a machine. We want these athletes to learn not only what to do on the field, but what to do off of the field. And those are the things that get glossed over, with your major league sports. Everything's about the game with the NFL and the CFL, and they don't really focus on these athletes understanding about financials, understanding about estate planning and life insurance and everything that they need to make sure that they are in the right frame of mind when they are playing the game. It's easy to show athletes how to look good on the field, but the hardest thing is showing them what to do and how to look and making sure that transfers when they leave the stadium.
Where can...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Garrick. I was just going to ask you, if people want to know more about the program, because this is such a unique program. To train athletes on the field is one thing. That there's lots of programs across the U.S. at the college level, as you know better than I do, and the high school level. Training athletes is out there. You're keeping them sharp. You're giving them top training with top coaching. But at the same time, off the field, what I just heard was you're also training them about the business of the sport and also helping them start, possibly a business themselves and structure their life for success going forward. Man, what an advantage that players who play with you in your league, will have because of being a part of it. That's just phenomenal. So, how can people, how business owners are listening to this podcast right now, how can they get involved potentially, or how can they reach out to you and talk to you about this?
Well, number one, they can go to the official site, and that's www.officialsdfl.net. Or they can just do a search for Garrick Jones or the State's Developmental Football League, and they'll find pretty much any and everything they need in order to contact us. We're all over social media. We're connected with LinkedIn through my profile. We have Instagram accounts, the SDFL Network. We have hashtags for SDFL Reloaded, or hashtag SDFL Regionals. You name it.
You're out there.
We're a part of it.
Yeah,
we're out there. We're out there.
Let's my last question before I let you get on with your day, and I really appreciate all the time you're spending with us. But my last question for you is, what is it that you're still looking for? What if we could reach out into the world right now and get you in touch with, somebody or an organization of some type anywhere in the world? Who is it that you're looking to align with, or a type of organization that you'd like to connect with? Who can in the audience help you reach out to?
I think we would want to reach out to organizations or people that get it, that get what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, because in life, man, if you're here to serve, eventually you'll get more, and that's our motto. It's we want to be able to give these athletes as much as we can, so that we have a league of millionaires, not just one or two guys making all the money, but not only the athletes, but everybody down to the groundskeepers, even the fans will be able to benefit from what we're doing, and that's the thing that I learned playing ball. When I played ball, I got paid well, but I didn't get paid what I was worth. So what we want to do is we want to set these guys up and set everybody up that's a part of our organization. We want them to be able to take what we teach them and take that to their own part of the earth and make their difference. So whether you're going to the next level on the field or going to the next level in life or in business, we want to be a part of that and just show people how to hunt as well as fish. So we just want to deal with organizations that get it. Of course, they'll from a monetary standpoint, with the things that we have set up, we'll make plenty of money. But we want to make plenty of differences in lives, even differences in lives, and that's what we're about.
Yeah, I think that's got to be at the core, right? If you're making the difference in a person's life and you're raising them up and you're showing where the value is, the money will follow as part of the business and the sport. But what a great legacy that is to leave, your family and friends and all the players and the folks that support that league. So congratulations to you and everybody associated with the SDFL. And it's a lot of work. I mean, I've never been through trying to start a football league, but man, I'll tell you, it's got to be just an insane amount of work. So congratulations on that there, Mr. Commissioner. That is a fantastic, just to get to this point is just a fantastic accomplishment. And so I want to thank you again, Garrick, for coming on to the Fusedlogic podcast and sharing your story and answering these questions for the audience. And I know that there is a ton of value in what you just shared. There's so many life lessons there that you shared that you had to struggle through and learn from. And I really appreciate everything that you've shared and the stuff that you're doing. And I really do hope that people go and check out the website and connect with you and find ways to maybe, do a business deal or buy a jersey, or in fact, in some case, actually take in a game and watch these players on the field. And, football is such a great sport, but is a lot of times, man, we forget the lives away from the game and we don't really get to see that side of it. So thank you so much again, Garrick, for sharing that. Boss Man 73. I know you were 66 when you were up here with the Edmonton Eskimos and so on.
Sir.
And so it was really enjoyable to watch you play. And, thank you again for your sharing your time. It's really appreciated.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure catching up with you, Walter.
Good luck with the league, Garrick. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank you much.
That was Garrick Jones, man. I'll tell you what do I take away from that interview? I can tell you that I take away never give up. No matter what, believe in yourself, power through, persevere, and don't take no for an answer. And you know what no stands for, of course? It means next opportunity. So way to go, Garrick. Way to persevere. And thank you so much for being on the show. Every episode I like to do a client showcase. This episode's no different. I want to talk about Dr. Wiebe at Strathcona Dental Clinic, Fusedlogic client. We had a lot of fun working with his dental clinic and the team. And I'll tell you what, Dr. Wiebe is wonderful in terms of his approach to making you calm, because I really need that as a patient. I need a really calm and relaxed atmosphere because I get kind of nervous. I'm one of those nervous patients. Dr. Wiebe's been great. I really thank him for his business and working with Strathcona Dental Clinic. I'm still continuing to read the book, The One Thing, written by Gary Keller and also co-written by Jay Papasan. Now, Jay has agreed to come onto the podcast, so I'm super excited and happy to announce that Jay Papasan, the co-writer of The One Thing, will be on the Fusedlogic podcast, so look for that episode coming up. We, of course, have, we're out there in social media, right? We've got the @Fusedlogic Twitter account. I've got my Twitter account. We're on Facebook. We're on all the really major social networks, as I'm sure many of you are. We launched a new Twitter account for this podcast. It's called @FusedLogicPod. So please go out and follow that and look for the updates on the podcast, upcoming guests, questions you'd like us to ask. Please interact with us there and on Twitter at FusedLogicPod. Also, of course, head over to Facebook. If you're a big Facebook user and you love that platform, no problem. We've got a Facebook fan page. Check us out, Fusedlogic on Facebook. And if you want to listen to all of the past episodes we've got, head to fusedlogic.com/podcast. So once again, thank you so much for listening to this Fusedlogic podcast. It was episode number 4 with Garrick Jones. And, if you got a minute, please head over to newbeginningsmexico.org and make a small donation today. You could help a young Mexican family start a new business and support themselves so they don't have to dig in the city dump to eat. Head to newbeginningsmexico.org. I'm your host, Walter Schwabe. And remember, you're made to thrive.
Fusedlogic. Analytics and engagement evolved.